CBS Sports, Ohio State, Indiana Pacers, one of the greats. We've all learned more from Clark Kellogg than many as we say hi to Mr. Kellogg. Hi, Clark. How are you?
Hey, greetings. I take it that's Patrick.
Yes, sir. I'm Patrick, and of course, Amal Shah is going to be talking to you as well. First off, thank you. This is a treat for us. Honestly, thank you so much for joining us. And I want to start here. I was reading your article over at CBS Sports. It's almost like we're not talking about Gonzaga like we had the last few years, but you like the Zags team.
In part for that reason, Patrick and Amal. I mean, clearly they've been one of the top programs for the last 2 decades, and recently they've been a number 1 seed multiple times. They've played in a couple of national championship games, lost in 17 to Carolina, and then lost to Baylor in 21. They've had a remarkable run. And this is the first time in recent years where they've not been on the 1 seed line. And they've got a team in this year's college basketball landscape that I think is capable of winning it. I mean, Drew Timme is the anchor, but Julian Strawther has come on strong. Watson has performed well. The backcourt has been good. Obviously, Mark Few, one of the outstanding coaches in the game. So they've got the ingredients that I think lend itself to perhaps making a run to a title this year when people have somewhat undervalued them and kind of looked at other teams. So that's part of my rationale for thinking this might be a year for them to step into the fray and surprise some folks.
Clark, before I get to my question, I got to take a quick shot at my partner. Clark Kellogg is the greatest athlete from Villa Angela St. Joseph's High School in Cleveland, Ohio, because it's not your boy that went up north, Desmond Howard there, Patrick, another Michigander. Okay. Clark, I'm a Scarlet and Gray guy. I went to school at Ohio State myself.
Oh, yes, sir. OH.
I-O.
Yes, indeed.
So I had to take a shot at my guy from Michigan. I want to talk about a team, to me, that I don't understand why they're being a little bit overlooked, and I understand the injuries, but I think Mick Cronin has done as good of a job as getting a team to buy in what he wants to do with Jaime Jaquez and Tiger Campbell. If Bona's back in there healthy, yes, I get the loss of Jalen Clark, but to me, I still feel like UCLA is not only a Final Four threat, but a shot to cut down the nets. How do you see the Bruins?
I can't disagree with anything you've said, Amal. That's all right on point. Everybody can't get top billing on the marquee. When you're talking about teams, somebody's going to be left out or not talked about as much. But you're right. I mean, those 2 guys you mentioned, Jaquez and Campbell, have been winners everywhere they've been. They elevate that team. The loss of Clark is significant, though. I mean, you have time to adjust to it now, and that's always helpful. Sitting next to Jay Wright in the last couple of weeks and picking his brain some, you get a sense of how a coach would look at an injury situation like that. But you're right. In this year's landscape where there aren't any real great teams, clearly Alabama is probably the most equipped to win it all when you look at what they've done and the personnel. But UCLA right in that mix as well.
Coach
Clark Kellogg joins us, CBS Sports, of course, the best. Ohio State will forgive him for that one. You mentioned Alabama. How about what Sampson's done with Houston? And obviously the health of Sasser is huge here, Clark.
Big time. As a matter of fact, on Sunday after our show, right as we close the show, we all have to pick our Final Four. And I had the most conviction going into the week about Houston and Alabama. But with the injury to Sasser and the nature of groin injuries, it's just really hard to know what his status will be. And even if he is able to play, what level of effectiveness might he have? And that's a huge deal. I don't think they can win it without him healthy. I mean, they could win a couple of games, credit to those kids, and obviously the culture and the culture that Calvin Sampson has built and the quality of coach he is. He's one of the very best in the business, and they won't lose. They'll have to be beaten, even without Sasser, but I don't know if they can. I don't think they can win it without him being close to 100%. And it's hard to know until some time passes if that groin injury is going to be as problematic as those things can be sometimes.
Clark, it's hard to imagine this team in Duke is not talked about enough, but they've won 9 in a row. John Shire's done a 180-degree turn from where they started early in the season. Lively, Filipowski, and Roach, they've all bought in what they want to do. What do you think about Duke, and can they, in your mind, beat Purdue if they match up in the Sweet 16?
Oh, clearly they're capable, and a marvelous job in his first year by John Shire, and I didn't think it would be anything less. I mean, you have to learn and grow into being a head coach. He's gotten great tutelage. But that team, to me, it's all about Jeremy Roach. Those young players are terrific. Filipowski is obviously a terrific NBA prospect, an outstanding college player now, and has played at a high level all year. But I think the key to the team is Jeremy Roach. He gives everybody an opportunity to have great confidence in being able to close games and being able to handle the tough moments within games. Those young guys have grown up. They're talented. But Jeremy Roach's health and his performance is really the key to that team's success. And they do have an opportunity, I think, a really good chance. They're one of the top 8-10 teams in my mind that could win it all.
Clark, you're sitting there on CBS breaking down the brackets when they're released. I don't know what Kansas did to the committee, but it ain't good, right? Look at their bracket out west. Connecticut is in the region. You've got UCLA, we were talking about, in the region. Gonzaga's in the region. That is a brutal West.
Yeah, it is a brutal West, but I think the East is perhaps more brutal. You've got Marquette there. Tennessee obviously has had an injury issue with Zakai Ziegler. Kansas State is formidable. But then you look at the middle of that region in the East, Duke, Kentucky, Michigan State with Tom Izzo on the sideline. I think Memphis is the most dangerous 8 seed in the field, even though they'll have a good test from Florida Atlantic. That's a pretty quality region as well. But you're right, those two, when you look at them, top, middle, even bottom, I think those two clearly set up to be the hardest. And they should be based on how the seeding works. The number 1 overall seed should get what appears to be the least resistance in moving through the field. The number 2 should be next. And then 3 and 4 should typically have a little more headwind than those other 2 number 1 seeds.
Clark, I want to go to the team you just mentioned in Marquette. I don't know if they've gotten enough credit on a national level for the job Shaka Smart has done here. Tell me what it is that you like about this Marquette team and what has impressed you with them.
Yeah, they've got everybody playing at a high level, and Tyler Kolek's been an elite point guard for the last 2.5 months. I mean, he's scoring when he needs to. He's setting people up. He's impacting the ball defensively. And they've been extremely cohesive. They've got multiple guys that can go get 12 to 20. And it seems like they don't care who does it. We spoke to Shaka briefly in one of our pre-bracket shows, and he talked about the cohesiveness of the group, the collective buy-in, the collective commitment. And we tend to overlook that. We always talk about it. But when you're talking about winning, 6 games in a row, staying consistent, winning games when you don't play well, character and commitment and cohesiveness sometimes can overcome talent. And when you've got both, that's when you have a team that's playing as well as Marquette.
Okay, last one, Clark. Clark Kellogg, of course, the legend, joining us here on Sharp Money. Do you have a surprise in your Final Four, and who's cutting down the nets?
I don't have a surprise in my Final Four, and I'm pretty much staying where I am right now from Selection Sunday. Alabama, Xavier because of the situation and question mark around Houston. Gonzaga, I like an awful lot. And Purdue, even though I think the headwind is great there, I think Zach Edey's uniqueness and the way Matt Painter has tweaked his lineup, I think helps fortify the young freshman backcourt. They've got depth, savvy, shot making, and the most unique and best player in college basketball, at least in college, in Zach Edey.
Clark Kellogg, CBS Sports analyst. You're the best. At Clark Kellogg, CBS on Twitter. Thank you so much, and enjoy the tournament, Clark. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. You guys do the same. March Madness is a great gift to all of us.
It really, really is.
Thank
Clark
you so
Kellogg,
much.
of course, and Amal and Clark bonding over Ohio State, which I had to you're taking shots. Juwan Howard, your boy, the others, Fab Five. I hear you.
Yeah, we should when we come back, we can discuss all the national titles they won.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.